Okay, so originally this review was supposed to be put up on Saturday, but first I had camera problems, and then I got sick on Saturday too. I'm still a little sick right now, but I'm gonna fight through it. Let's do this. So Seth Rogen's finally making his foray into the superhero world as he takes on the Green Hornet, aka Britt Reed, a selfish playboy slacker who's always interested in partying instead of doing anything with his life, until his father dies from a bee sting, which he was allergic to bees. Now this is a movie that was in development hell for years, as it had so many different names attached to it. I mean, Michel Gondry was attached to direct this back in the 1990s too, and he declined it. Nicolas Cage was attached to it. Jake Gyllenhaal was attached to it. It's a lot of names already, isn't it? So in The Green Hornet, Seth Rogen plays Britt Reed, a selfish playboy slacker who's always interested in partying and doing nothing else with his life. That's until his publishing tycoon father, James Reed, ends up dying from a bee sting, and then Britt doesn't really know what to do with his life, because he fires all of his staff, but his coffee doesn't taste the same, and the person who made his coffee was Kato, so he decides to bring him back, and Kato is played by Chou, in which this guy is the perfect jack of all trades. He's a martial arts expert, he's great on working on cars, weapons, and everything you can think of. But there's one thing he's not good at, but I won't spoil it for you, of course. So Britt has finally realized that he hasn't done anything good with this whole life, and he and Kato decide to don the Green Hornet. They decide to team up and fight crime, most notably against Russian criminal Benjamin Chernovsky, played by Inglourious Basterds' Christoph Waltz. Now this is a movie that I wasn't really looking forward to, and that's mostly because of Seth Rogen being a superhero. He is good in this movie, but of course he's just playing himself with a little bit of superhero hints in between. I actually have a feeling that this film wouldn't have been the same if he didn't co-write it with his writing partner Evan Goldberg, because there's always the hints of the bromance growing between him and Kato. And there's some really snappy dialogue between a lot of the characters, especially between Kato and Britt, as I was actually laughing a lot more than I thought in this film. Chou is definitely the best part of this film. He really digs into Kato with his jack-of-all-trades personality, and everything that he does, from working on the cars, to kicking ass, to making great coffee, he just does great at it all. Christoph Waltz is good as the villain, just only good, not great, just good. He does manage to nail a couple of comic sensibilities into his character, and he has a couple funny lines here and there, but his character isn't really used all that much in the film. I have a feeling if he was used more in the film, it would have been a lot better. And the opening scene between him and a great cameo, which I'm not going to tell you the name for though, is priceless. Cameron Diaz is also in this film playing Britt Reed's secretary, and the film would have been just fine without her. I mean, I found her pretty useless. All she's really there is to stand as some type of eye candy, even though I didn't really think she was all that much of an eye candy in the film. And for a director like Michel Gondry to go from directing films like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Human Nature to now making this, it's quite a big boost for him, but his visual tricks actually managed to pull off a couple big high points of the film. I especially love how he draws out the Kato vision scenes, which are definitely the best parts of this film, but that's really all that he really does. So I was a little disappointed with that, but then again, it works. And the action is actually alright in this film. I mean, some of the chase sequences are a little bit bland, but when it gets to those really over-the-top scenes, it's actually pretty fun. But this film does come with its flaws, of course. I mean, there are some pacing issues in between, in which when the action shows up, it gets very fast-paced, but then when it gets to like the scenes that aren't action and more of like scenes when it doesn't deal with the relationship between Britt and Kato, it just drags out for a little too long. So The Green Hornet definitely breaks the curse for January bad movies, as I was actually pretty entertained by it. It's nothing amazing or great, but I was satisfied. I'm gonna give The Green Hornet 3.5 out of 5 stars. I mean, it was an entertaining film, nothing amazing at all, nothing great, just satisfying fun. So I hope you all enjoyed The Green Hornet, and I'd like to close this review with a special shout out to film critic Chris Stuckmann. I didn't really get into the whole YouTube film critics thing until I saw his review of The Last Airbender, and that made me avoid the film. For a while, I watched it, and I still regret watching it, of course. M. Night. You had such a promising career after The Sixth Sense, and now you blew it after The Village. But put that all aside, I'm really glad that you're back, dude. You have some of the best movie reviews on YouTube. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have gotten into other such great film critics on YouTube like Tom Chattelbash, Jeremy Johns, The Frickin' Film Critic, Revolution Reviews, and Grounded for Life 27. So I gotta really thank you for that too. You're an awesome film critic, and I'm really looking forward to your reviews in February. So I hope you all enjoyed my review of The Green Hornet. I'll be back next week reviewing either No Strings Attached or Blue Valentine or whatever other Oscar contender film I haven't seen yet. So in the meantime, see you guys around.